My boss sent me to inventory the basement archive. The door locked behind me. Just a faulty handle, I told myself. Then the lights flickered. I heard a drawer slowly slide open behind me. When I turned around, the files were scattered on the floor, all open to the same page, a photo of me, taken from somewhere inside the room. Hey Reddit. I'm not sure where to post this, but I've been lurking here for years, and I think this is the only place where people might believe me, or at least not laugh me off the internet. I'm not looking for karma or attention. I just need to get this out. Maybe someone else has been through something like this. Maybe I'm not alone. This happened last month. I've been trying to forget it, but I can't. I keep seeing that photo. I keep hearing the drawer slide open. I keep feeling that cold breath on the back of my neck. I work for a government agency. I won't say which one, but it's not one of the big ones. We're based in a mid-sized city in the Midwest. I won't name the city either. I don't want to get fired, or worse. My job is boring. I'm a records clerk. I sit at a desk all day, entering data into a computer. Sometimes I have to go into the archives to retrieve a file. The archives are in the basement of our building. The building is old, built in the 1930s. It has that Art Deco style, with lots of marble and brass. It's beautiful, but it's also falling apart. The elevators are slow, the plumbing is bad, and the basement is a maze of dusty corridors and locked doors. I'd only been down there a few times before. Usually, someone else handled the archives. But that day, my boss asked me to do a full inventory of the basement records. He said it was part of a routine audit. I didn't think much of it. I grabbed a clipboard and headed downstairs. The basement was colder than I remembered. The air smelled of mildew and old paper. The lights flickered as I walked down the hallway. I found the archive room at the end of the corridor. It was a large room filled with metal filing cabinets. I unlocked the door with my key and stepped inside. As soon as I entered, the door slammed shut behind me. I turned around and tried the handle. It was locked. I jiggled it, but it wouldn't budge. Just a faulty handle, I told myself. No big deal. I pulled out my phone to call for help, but there was no signal. I tried to calm myself down. I told myself I'd be fine. I'd do the inventory, and someone would come looking for me eventually. I started going through the files. Most of them were old personnel records and budget reports. Nothing interesting. I was halfway through the third cabinet when the lights flickered again. This time, they went out completely. I stood there in the dark, heart pounding. I waited for the lights to come back on. After a few seconds, they did. But something was different. I heard a drawer slowly slide open behind me. I turned around. The drawer was open, and the files were scattered on the floor. All of them were open to the same page, a photo of me, taken from somewhere inside the room. I stared at the photos, trying to make sense of them. They were all identical. Black and white images of me standing in the archive room, looking at the files. The angle suggested the camera was hidden in the ceiling or the wall. I picked up one of the photos and examined it closely. There was a timestamp in the corner. It was dated that day, just a few minutes earlier. I felt a chill run down my spine. I looked up at the ceiling, searching for a camera. I didn't see anything. I turned back to the drawer. It was still open. I reached inside and found a folder labeled Confidential. I opened it and found more photos, this time of other people. Some of them I recognized as former employees. Others I didn't know. All of the photos were taken in the archive room. I flipped through the folder, and my hands started to shake. The last photo was of me again, but this time I was lying on the floor, eyes closed, with a pool of blood around my head. I dropped the folder and backed away. I turned and ran to the door, pounding on it and shouting for help. No one answered. I tried my phone again. Still no signal. I sat down on the floor, trying to calm myself. I told myself it was a prank. Someone was messing with me. Maybe there was a hidden camera, and they were taking photos and printing them out as a joke. But deep down, I knew that wasn't true. I looked around the room, searching for any sign of a camera. I didn't see anything. The walls were bare, and the ceiling was just a grid of acoustic tiles. I stood up and walked to the back of the room, where there was a row of cabinets I hadn't checked yet. I opened the first one and found more folders labeled "Confidential." I opened one and found a report about a former employee who had gone missing. The report said he was last seen in the archive room. I opened another folder and found a similar report about a different employee. Same story, last seen in the archive room. I opened a third folder and found a report about a janitor who had died in the basement. Cause of death, unknown. I started to feel dizzy. I sat down again, trying to make sense of what I was reading. Then I heard the drawer slide open again. I turned around, and the drawer was open, but this time there was a new photo inside. It was a photo of me, sitting on the floor, looking at the folder. I picked up the photo and looked at the timestamp. It was dated that day, just a few seconds earlier. I dropped the photo and ran to the door again, pounding on it and shouting for help. This time, I heard footsteps approaching. I felt a surge of relief. The door opened, and my boss was standing there. He looked at me and said, "What are you doing down here?" I stared at him, speechless. He said, "I didn't send you down here." I said, "You told me to do an inventory." He said, "No, I didn't." I looked around the room. The files were gone. The photos were gone. The drawer was closed. I said, "There were photos of me in this room." He said, "I think you need to take the rest of the day off." I nodded and left the basement. I haven't been back down there since. I don't know what happened. I don't know if I imagined it all. But I can't stop thinking about those photos. And I can't stop wondering who, or what, was taking them. I've been having nightmares. I see myself in the archive room, lying on the floor, eyes closed, with a pool of blood around my head. I wake up in a cold sweat, heart pounding. I don't know what to do. I'm scared. I'm really scared. Has anyone else experienced something like this? Please, if you have, let me know. I don't want to feel alone anymore. I don't want to feel like I'm going crazy. I just want to understand what happened. I just want to know I tried to move on after that day. I really did. I took a few sick days like my boss suggested. I told him I was feeling overwhelmed, maybe burnt out. He seemed to buy it. Or maybe he didn't care. When I came back, everything felt off. People were quiet around me. Too quiet. I'd walk into a room and the conversation would die. A few coworkers gave me sideways glances, like they knew something but wouldn't say it. It didn't help that the nightmares kept getting worse. Every night, I'd dream I was back in the basement. Same room. Same flickering lights. Same drawer sliding open by itself. And always that final image, me on the ground, unmoving. The blood spreading like a shadow under my body. Every time I jolted awake, I swore I heard the click of a camera in the dark. I told myself it was just stress. A leftover reaction from being trapped. But a part of me knew better. Something had changed. I couldn't explain it, but I could feel it, like a thread had been pulled loose from my life, and now everything was slowly unraveling. Then things got worse. One morning, I came into work and found an envelope on my desk. No name, no return address. Just a plain manila envelope, sealed tight. I opened it. Inside were more photos. All of them were of me. Not in the archive room this time, but in other places. Walking to my car. Sitting in my living room. Sleeping in bed. All taken from a distance, grainy and black and white, like old security footage. I felt sick. I looked around the office. No one was watching me. At least, not openly. I shoved the photos back in the envelope and stuffed it in my bag. I left early that day. I didn't go home. Instead, I drove back to the office building. I needed to see the basement again. Needed to know I wasn't losing my mind. I told myself I'd take a quick look, just to confirm there were no cameras. Just to prove to myself that there was a rational explanation. The building was nearly empty by then. Most people had gone home. I made my way down the stairs, heart hammering in my chest. When I reached the basement, I stood in front of the archive room door, staring at it. It was open. I didn't touch the handle. I just pushed it, and it creaked wide. The lights inside were already on. I stepped inside. Everything was just as I remembered. Filing cabinets. Metal drawers. Cold air that smelled of dust and damp paper. But there was something new. On the floor in the center of the room was a chair. Just a plain, metal folding chair. On the seat was another manila envelope. This one had my name on it. I didn't want to open it. Every nerve in my body told me to run. But I picked it up anyway. Inside was a single sheet of paper. No photos this time. Just a note. We see you. I dropped the paper and backed away. That's when I heard it, the drawer, sliding open again. I turned around. It was the same one as before. Slowly creeping open with a screech that set my teeth on edge. And there, sitting right at the edge of the drawer, was a new photo. It was of my boss. Not like the others. He wasn't looking at the camera. He was lying on the floor of the archive room, eyes wide, mouth open in a silent scream. Blood pooled around him. I stared at the photo, not sure what to do. It looked real. Too real. I took out my phone and snapped a picture of it. Just in case. When I left the archive room, I didn't go back to my desk. I went straight home. The next morning, I got a text from a coworker. Did you hear? He's dead. I called her. Who? She hesitated. Our boss. They found him in the basement. Heart attack, they said. I couldn't breathe. She said, you were the last one to see him, right? I didn't answer. She added, you should probably talk to HR. I hung up. That same day, I received another envelope. At home this time. It didn't contain photos. It contained a key. An old, rusted key with a tag on it that said, Room 213. There's no Room 213 in our building. I checked every floor. But then I remembered something. Years ago, during orientation, someone had joked that the building was originally designed to have 13 floors, but the 13th floor was sealed off during construction. Superstition or something like that. They never put it in the blueprints. No buttons for it on the elevators. No official record. But if that was true, what if room 213 was on the 13th floor? I didn't sleep that night. I stayed up researching old layouts of the building, but I couldn't find anything. It was like the floor never existed. Or had been wiped. Still, I had the key. And the nightmares were worse now. Louder. More vivid. I could hear a voice whispering my name. I could see shadows moving behind the filing cabinets. I could feel something watching me through the walls. One night, I decided to try something. I went back to the building with the key in my pocket. I waited until after hours. Security was light. I took the stairs, counting each floor until I reached the top, floor 12. Then I looked at the wall across from the elevator. It didn't look right. There was a faint outline. A rectangle, just slightly different in color. Like someone had painted over a doorway. I touched it. Knocked lightly. It was hollow. The key was warm in my pocket. I pulled it out and held it in my hand. My fingers were trembling. I looked around. No cameras. No one nearby. Then I heard it. The soft sound of something scraping behind the wall. And a low whisper. It said my name. I took a step back. The whisper came again, louder. My name. Then the scraping sound stopped. And something knocked back. 3 slow, heavy knocks. From the other side of the wall. I ran. I didn't stop until I was back in my car, locked inside, shaking. I still have the key. I don't know what to do with it. I haven't told anyone. But the dreams are changing. Now I'm not just lying on the floor anymore. I'm sitting in the chair. And there's someone standing behind me, holding the camera. Their face is always blurred, but they're getting closer every night. Last night, I saw their hand reach for my shoulder. I woke up screaming. I know I'll have to go back. I don't want to. But I think I have to. There's something in that building. Something watching. Something waiting. And I think it knows I'm starting to understand. I waited as long as I could. A week passed. Then another. I thought maybe, if I just stayed away, it would stop. But it didn't. It got worse. The whispers weren't just in my dreams anymore. I started hearing them during the day. In the office. In the car. In the bathroom while brushing my teeth. Always saying my name. Always from behind me. I tried ignoring them. Then the photos started again. Every morning, a new one. Slipped under my apartment door. Taped to my windshield. Folded inside my cereal box. And they were different now. They showed things that hadn't happened yet. One morning, I found a photo of myself opening my fridge. That afternoon, when I went to get a drink, everything in the fridge was gone, just gone. Like it had never been full in the first place. Another day, I found a photo of me sitting at my desk, blood trickling from my nose. That evening, it happened, no warning, just a sharp pain, and then blood dripping onto my keyboard. The worst photo came 3 days ago. It showed me standing in front of a door with a 213 plaque. My hand was on the knob. In the photo, something stood behind me, a dark, towering figure, its face hidden in shadow, its arms impossibly long, almost touching my shoulders. I knew I couldn't run from it anymore. I had to find room 213. I went back to the building last night. Same staircase. Same weird patch on the wall at the 12th floor. This time, I brought tools, a flashlight, gloves, a small hammer. The wall was hollow. I peeled away at the paint and drywall, and sure enough, there was a door underneath. Old wood. Rusted hinges. No handle, just a lock. I pulled out the key. It fit perfectly. When I turned it, I felt something shift inside the wall, like a breath, like the building itself had just exhaled. The door opened. The room behind it was narrow, lit by a single flickering bulb. Dust hung thick in the air. The walls were lined with file cabinets, like the archive room, but older. Covered in grime and cobwebs. I stepped inside. The door slammed shut behind me. The bulb overhead buzzed and then went out. Pitch black. I raised my flashlight and slowly moved forward. The air felt wrong. Heavy. Wet. Like the room had been sealed for 100 years, and I was the first thing alive to breathe it. Then I saw the first body. It was slumped against a cabinet. Skin gray and dry like paper. Eyes wide open. Mouth frozen in a scream. I shined the light down the row. More bodies. Dozens of them. Some sitting. Some crumpled on the floor. All wearing office clothes. All dead. All staring. I turned around. The dark figure from the photo was there. It stepped forward, and as it moved into the light, I saw its face, or what should have been its face. There was nothing there. Just skin. Smooth, stretched tight like plastic over bone. It raised one long arm and pointed to the back of the room. My legs moved on their own. I walked past the bodies, past the endless cabinets, until I reached a wall of mirrors. At least, I thought they were mirrors. They weren't reflecting me. They were showing scenes. One showed me as a child, crying in a hospital room. Another showed me in high school, punching a locker after a bad breakup. Another showed me sitting at a desk, older, staring at a screen, watching the exact moment I first walked into the archive room. Each mirror showed a piece of my life. But in every single one, that faceless figure was there. Always watching. Sometimes in the background. Sometimes right beside me. It had always been there. I backed away, heart hammering. I wanted to run. But there was no door anymore. Just walls. Then I saw the final mirror. It showed me standing in room 213, flashlight in hand, eyes wide. But something was different. There was someone behind me in the reflection. It wasn't the faceless thing. It was me. Or, something that looked exactly like me. Same clothes. Same expression. But the eyes were wrong. Cold. Dead. Like glass. Then, the thing in the mirror smiled. I felt breath on my neck. I turned, darkness. I woke up in my bed this morning. Everything looked normal. Sunlight through the blinds. Coffee still in the pot. No photos. But something's wrong. The mirror above my sink doesn't show my reflection anymore. It shows me standing in room 213. It shows the faceless thing stepping into my skin. It shows it wearing me like a suit. It shows it smiling. And now, when I walk past people on the street, they stop and stare. Like they recognize something they shouldn't. Like they're seeing the wrong version of me. I don't know how I got out. I don't know if I did get out. Maybe I never left that room. Maybe I'm still in there. And the thing wearing my face? It's doing a damn good job pretending to be me. But I can feel it slipping sometimes. When I catch my reflection in glass, it's not quite right. The smile holds too long. The eyes don't blink. And the whispers are still here. Only now they're not saying my name. They're saying, "You're next." The first time I lost time, I was brushing my teeth. I looked up in the mirror, blinked, and suddenly it was night. My shirt was wet. My shoes were muddy. I had no idea where I'd been or how long I'd been gone. I checked my phone. 10 missed calls from work. A text from my neighbor asking why I was digging in the yard at 2 a.m. I hadn't been. At least, not that I remembered. I ran to the backyard. There was a hole near the fence, shallow, fresh dirt piled beside it. Something wrapped in plastic lay half buried. My heart dropped. I stepped closer, flashlight shaking in my hand. It wasn't a body. But it was almost worse. It was a camera. The exact same type I'd seen mounted in the archive room. I dug around the area, panicked. I found 2 more cameras. A handful of black and white photos sealed in plastic. And a torn piece of paper with my name on it, written in someone else's handwriting. My knees went weak. I sat in the dirt, trying to breathe, trying to stay sane. Then I heard it again. That slow, dragging whisper. This time it didn't say my name. It said, "You belong here." The next morning, I quit my job. I told them I was moving away. Needed a change. The HR manager looked confused and said I'd already submitted my resignation, 2 days ago. I hadn't. But something had. I packed my things, deleted my accounts, left town without telling anyone. Thought I could outrun it. I moved to a quiet town in Oregon. Rented a small cabin in the woods. No neighbors. No cameras. No mirrors. I thought maybe, just maybe, I could start over. For a while, it worked. The whispering stopped. The photos stopped. I started sleeping again. Until last night. I woke up and my cabin door was wide open. There were muddy footprints on the floor. Leading from the door, to my bed. And sitting on the kitchen table was a new envelope. Inside was a single photo. It was me. Standing in room 213. Smiling. Behind me were rows and rows of others, dozens of versions of me. All smiling. All staring. All frozen like mannequins. In the back of the room stood the faceless figure. But this time, it was wearing a name tag. It said, "Supervisor." Below the photo was one line, typed on a yellowing strip of paper, "We promote from within." I don't know who's reading this. Maybe you've heard stories like mine. Maybe you think this is just a creepy tale some guy made up. But check your office building. Look for an old door with a lock that shouldn't exist. If someone sends you to the basement for inventory, don't go. And whatever you do, don't open the drawer. Because the next photo in that file might be you.